entirely unknown in these parts. Everything is carried by horses, asses, or camels. Cannons dating from the time of the Genoese still stand upon the ramparts. The carriages of these guns are very clumsy, the wheels consisted of round discs without spokes. From our tower of observation we can form a perfect estimate of the extent and strength of the fortifications. The city is completely surrounded by 3 lofty walls, which seem to have been calculated to last an eternity, for they still stand almost uninjured in all their glory. In some places images of the Virgin, of the size of life, are hewn out of the walls. The neighbourhood of Rhodes is most charming and almost resembles a park. Many country houses lie scattered throughout this natural garden. The vegetation is here no less luxuriant than in Smyrna. The architecture of the houses already begins to assume a new character. Many dwellings have towers attached, and the roofs are flat, forming numerous terraces, which are all built of stone. Some streets in the lower part of the town, inhabited chiefly by Jews, are bordered with cannon balls, and present a most peculiar appearance. I was also much struck with the costumes worn by the country people, who were dressed quite in the Swabian fashion. It was in vain that I inquired the reason of this circumstance. The books we had with us gave no information on the subject, and I could not ask the natives through my ignorance of their language. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon we were once more on board, and an hour afterwards we sailed out into the open sea. To-day we saw nothing further except a high and lengthened mountain range on the Asiatic mainland. It was a branch of the Taurus. The highest peaks glistened like silver in the evening light, enveloped in a garment of snow. May 23rd. To-day our organs of vision had a rest, for we were sailing on the high seas. Late in the evening, however, the sailors descried the mountains of Cyprus looming in the far distance like a misty cloud. With my less practised eyes I could see nothing but the sunset at sea, a phenomenon of which I had a more exalted conception. The rising and setting of the sun at sea is not nearly so striking a spectacle as the same phenomenon in a rocky landscape. At sea the sky is generally cloudless in the evening, and the sun gradually sinks, without refraction of rays or prismatic plays of colours, into its ocean bed, to pursue its unchanging course the next day. How infinitely more grand is this spectacle when seen from the Rigi Kulm in Switzerland! There it is really a spectacle, in contemplating which we feel impelled to fall on our knees in speechless adoration, and admire the wisdom of the Almighty in His wondrous works. May 24th. On mounting to the deck this fine morning at 5 o'clock, I could distinguish the island of Cyprus, which looks uglier the nearer we approach. Both the foreground and the mountain peaks have an uncomfortable, barren air. At 10 o'clock we entered the harbour of Larnaca. The situation of this town is anything but fine. The country looks like an Arabian desert, and a few unfruitful date palms rise beside the roofless stone houses. I should not have gone on shore at all, if Dr. Fauslank, whose acquaintance I had made at Constantinople, and who had been appointed quarantine physician here for 4 weeks before my departure, had not come to fetch me. The streets of Larnaca are unpaved, so that we were obliged literally to wade more than ankle deep in sand and dust. The houses are small, with irregular windows, sometimes high and sometimes low, furnished with wooden grated shutters, and the roofs are in the form of terraces. This style of building I found to be universal throughout Syria. Of a garden or green place not a trace was to be seen. The sandy expanse reaches to the foot of the mountains, which, viewed from this direction, form an equally barren picture. Behind these mountains the appearance of the landscape is said to be very fruitful, but I did not penetrate into the interior, nor did I go to Nicosia, the capital of the island, distant some 12 miles from Larnaca. Dr. Fauslank took me to his house, which had an appearance of greater comfort than I had expected to find, for it consisted of 2 spacious rooms which might almost have been termed halls. An agreeable coolness reigned everywhere. Neither stoves nor chimneys were to be seen, as winter here is replaced by a very mild rainy season. The heat in summer is often said to be unsupportable, the temperature rising to more than 36° Reaumur. To-day it reached 30° in the sun. We drank to my safe return to my country in real old Cyprian wine. Shall I ever see it again? I hope so, if my journey progresses as favorably as it has begun. But Syria is a bad country, and the climate is difficult to bear. Yet with courage and perseverance for my companions, I may look forward to the accomplishment of my task. The good doctor seemed much annoyed that he had nothing to offer me but Cyprian wine and a few German biscuits. At this early season fruit is not to be had, and cherries do not flourish here because the climate is too hot for them. In Smyrna I ate the last for this year. When I re-embarked in the afternoon, Mr. Bartlett came with the English consul, who wished, he said, to make the acquaintance of a lady possessing sufficient courage to undertake so long and perilous a journey by herself. His astonishment increased when he was informed that I was an unpretending native of Vienna. The consul was kind enough to offer me the use of his house if I returned by way of Cyprus. He also inquired if he could give me some letters of recommendation to the Syrian consuls. I was touched by this hearty politeness on the part of a perfect stranger, an Englishman moreover, a race on whom we are accustomed to look on as cold and exclusive. Section 10.